One thing I don't get is the amount of half-hearted antinatalists out there, or rather, people who are using the title antinatalist and don't actually mean it. They're more like, well, I feel like I don't want children today, but I might change my mind tomorrow. Those type, you know. I don't want children today, but who knows the future? They're half-hearted in terms of how they handle the philosophy, and they're also um, wishy-washy on various other subjects that relate to it. Like there are some antinatalists who support the Supreme Court's decision to ban abortions without understanding that they also support their decision to continuously oppose euthanasia, because essentially they're going to do the same thing. You think it's a victory that these abortions have been severely limited or banned outright in a lot of the country, but you're failing to see that this same Supreme Court is not going to ever approve of euthanasia in this country because they are religious fundamentalists. So, what point is there in being inconsistent? And to take it back to those people who say they're antinatalists, but they're constantly seeming to change their mind, so to speak, I have to ask the question, what are you in it for? Either you're convinced that it's wrong to impose torture, death, and suffering on someone who did not ask for it, or you're in favor of it. You're either against imposing torture or you're in favor of it. Make up your mind. It's not that hard. But please don't use the name, the title of antinatalism if you are not committed to what antinatalism stands for. It's not about being wishy-washy. It's about having a firm conviction that says, I am not going to impose this gamble on someone else who did not ask for it. I'm not going to sit here and debate on whether I should have the right to torture someone or not, whether I should have the right to inflict disease on a child or not. It should be as plain as day. And the people who are the most wishy-washy about it are the ones who know better, or at least when you listen to them speak, they seem to have a good grasp on what antinatalism is about, the prevention of suffering, but yet they're constantly going back and forth with themselves. They're constantly seeming to ask the question, should I commit to this or should I just have a kid like everybody else? One minute they're saying they're all on board with it. The next day, I might change my mind. How do you do this? You have all the arguments, all the risk, all the problems, all the potential harms that life entails. And statistically, you could argue that these harms are going to happen to your offspring, many of them, and that death is going to come, absolutely, and you have every reason to believe that death will be unpleasant for your offspring. So why are you going back and forth with it? It should be a simple conclusion. You have everything you need that empowers you to make that right choice, but yet you're holding out on it for some kind of natalistic, oh, I might change my mind type thing. What's the deal? I don't get it. And I understand that everybody has a right to change their mind on things. I get that. But please don't use the title antinatalism if you are not committed to it. It's not about being wishy-washy. It's about understanding you don't have that right to impose torture, suffering, and death onto someone else. They're going to pay the bill for that decision, not you. Your child shouldn't have to come into a world where infinite harms exist and very little joy can be found. You shouldn't have the right to impose that onto another person. And if you have the mental capacity to say you understand that, but yet you're going back and forth on it, then don't call yourself an antinatalist. Say you're on the fence about it. That would be more honest. Say that you don't know on whether or not you should impose torture and death on someone. That's more consistent with what you think and what you're saying. Because that is what you're saying. You're saying, I don't know if I should or shouldn't torture someone to death. It should be obvious, but apparently it's not to a lot of these half-hearted people out there who claim this philosophy, very much so wrongfully claim it. But anyway, that's my gripe and frustration with the half-hearted anti-natalist and with the wishy-washy people who have seemingly hijacked our philosophy for whatever strange reason. So yeah, that's my message. If you're not on board, just step aside. If you're not committed to the war, then leave the battlefield. But don't stand in the way as a kind of buffer zone of, oh, I might, or oh, I probably change my mind. Just get out the way entirely. That's it.